Skibidi Toilet, Slenderman, Momo. Chances are that if you're around kids and teens often, or you're just chronically online, you've heard these names before. If you haven't, these are all examples of creepy online content that have become extremely popular with young people. Creepy online content is nothing new. Back in my day, we had scary chain emails, urban legends, and early YouTube horror videos like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Creepy online content shows a new iteration of folklore. Folklore has never shied away from the creepy and macabre. Before the internet, it took the form of urban legends and ghost stories passed from person to person, much the same way as internet folklore is passed from user to user. One form of creepy online content which is particularly good at being passed and reiterated is creepypasta. The term creepypasta was created on 4chan in 2007. The term refers to a genre of online horror folklore that can be repeated and built upon. This content can come in the form of images or stories. According to Blank and McNeil, creepypasta draws on the disturbing, monstrous, strange, grotesque, and/or unknown while invoking the thematic and structural qualities of legendary narratives. The term creepypasta is a portmanteau of a portmanteau. Stay with me here.
Huh?
A copypasta is an online portmanteau of copy and paste. Creepypasta then combines creepy and copypasta. We can't talk about creepypasta without talking about 4chan. 4chan is a message board website. According to scholar Lee Nutilla, 4chan is simultaneously a simple message board and a complex community. It is a group of individuals, but one that always lacks cohesion. 4chan's combination of simple message board functionality and complex circuits of collaboration have helped to position it as a contemporary meme factory. Due to the nature of the message board, users are not identified by a username, making the experience relatively anonymous. The origin of creepypastas on 4chan is obscure, much like the ghost stories of old without a known creator. Trevor Blank, who studies internet folklore, said, "The internet is an ideal channel for the transmission of folk narratives, due to its anonymity and efficiency in the speedy dissemination of ideas. Folklore has changed and adapted with the advent of the internet. Creepypastas represent just one genre in the diverse field of internet folklore. Although this genre began on 4chan, it has since taken on a life of its own and is a staple on many other websites, like Reddit, Tumblr, TikTok, and YouTube. Since their humble beginnings, creepypastas have become more complex, especially as they are often built upon by other users, causing the lore to grow well past the original posting. These collaborative stories also reflect current, as one scholar states, significant cultural anxieties. Let's start by looking at a creepypasta that became a household name because, well, we'll get to that in a bit. The story of Slenderman began in 2009 from a simple image posted to a thread asking users to post paranormal images on a Something Awful forum. The user, known by the pseudonym Victor Surge, posted an image of a tall, thin, faceless, human-like creature lurking in the back of a photo of children. The simple picture was the catalyst of the complex Slenderman lore to come, as many other people have adapted and built upon this original image. Common features of the Slenderman are that he is humanoid, faceless, and has extreme proportions, namely long, thin arms and legs. Additionally, many interpretations have Slenderman donning a black suit. In addition to photos, Slenderman content has included stories, videos, memes, and blogs. Slenderman even grew beyond online content, getting his own video game in 2012 and movie in 2018. So why did Slenderman become a household name? In 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, two 12-year-olds attempted to murder their friend and claimed that it was all to please Slenderman. Coverage of this case led to a moral panic about creepypastas and internet culture in general. The police chief in Waukesha, Wisconsin was even quoted as saying, "The internet is full of dark and wicked things." Concerned adults naturally worried about the lure of creepy online content and its effects on young people. So why do young people like creepy content? Well, it's nothing new. Children are people after all, and people are drawn to the dark and macabre. I have fond memories from elementary school of sharing ghost stories with my friends after dark, in the park behind my house or at sleepovers. As soon as I hit junior high, my friends were organizing boy and girl movie nights where we watch horror movies and maybe you could even get to hold hands if you were scared enough. Even in primary school, I loved all things creepy. In kindergarten, I had to get special permission from the librarian to be able to check out books from the big kids section, because I was bored of little kids' picture books and I just wanted to read books about mummies. Yup, I was a cool kid. Once I was able to read novels, a certain author's work stood out to me. In 1992, a new type of children's novel series hit the market, Goosebumps by R.L. Stine. These books were horror stories for an 8 to 12-year-old audience and were published through Scholastic. Stine was actually a former educator who had taught junior high social studies. The series went on to be a bestseller. Despite their success with young readers, adults had mixed opinions. Perry and Butler described the novels by saying, Goosebumps books are loved by kids, worried about by parents, and looked down upon by some librarians. Some parents worried that the books were too frightening for their children. Others worried that these books did not constitute good literature. Some librarians and teachers echoed this concern. However, the validity of these concerns has been disputed. Regarding the books being too scary, they can be compared to the often grim and terrifying fairy tales that have been a staple for children for a long time. While the quality of the writing is not exactly Shakespearean, these books hook young readers in. In 1995, Silver said, "If R.L. Stine wasn't writing Goosebumps, many of his readers wouldn't be reading." Even if they're not our cup of tea, horror literature, whether Goosebumps or online creepypastas, undeniably plays a role in getting young people interested in reading. In 1998, parent and scholar Randy Dixon describes her 6 and 10-year-old daughter's interest in horror literature, such as In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories by Alvin Schwartz, and the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine. The author wonders, is there some natural attraction that humans have towards the unknown and frightening, even as they're disgusted or repelled by it? I often associate childhood with fear. There's so much about the world that you don't understand yet, and that uncertainty can make you afraid. Children might fear the dark, monsters under the bed, or going to a new school. Fear is an extremely common childhood phenomenon. Although there is variation across studies of childhood fears, a 2010 review of research found that children had, on average, 2 to 5 fears relating to animals, medical procedures, situations, and the environment. What children fear changes as they age. Babies may be scared of unfamiliar faces, and toddlers may fear being away from their guardians. Around 4 to 6, young children may fear the dark, loud noises, and imagine things like monsters. Younger children may also have fears around certain animals. Older children's fears may become more based on real situations, such as natural disasters, violence, self-injury, and loss through death or separation. Preteens and teens' fears tend to be more personal, such as anxiety around social situations, or broader, such as climate anxiety. Although fears are common in childhood, sometimes they indicate a more significant issue. Research has indicated that for 1 in 5 children, their fears have a significant impact on their lives and constitute anxiety disorders and phobias. Childhood fears come about in several ways. One theory is that there are 3 pathways to developing childhood fears: through conditioning, observational learning, and threat information. Threat information refers to information that expresses possible dangers. Threat information could be a cave painting that shows encounters with dangerous animals, fairy tales that warn of dangers, or modern-day PSAs. Parents and media play a significant role in children's accumulation of threat information. Research has indicated that many adults can recall an incident from their childhood where media led to a prolonged fear. So what does young people's interest in creepy online content say about their fears? To examine this, we will explore a recent creepypasta, The Backrooms. The Backrooms is one example of a creepypasta that has gained popularity with young people. It first made an appearance on a 4chan forum in 2019, on a thread that asked users to submit disquieting images that just felt off. One user replied to the thread with an image of an empty, yellow, fluorescently lit office room with an accompanying description. If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at a maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. In this description, the user describes empty and endless space that is reached by accidentally performing a no-clip out of reality. No-clipping is a video game term which refers to cheats or glitches that allow the player's character to enter areas which are normally unreachable, bypassing or clipping right through solid walls. In the context of the backrooms, no-clipping refers to leaving reality and entering into a place that is between worlds. Since its genesis, the popularity of the Backrooms grew and reached its peak popularity in 2022. Other artists have put their own spin on the original post, and the lore of the Backrooms grew with each iteration. Iterations of the Backrooms share some commonalities. They are portrayed as empty expanses and seldom include people. The Backrooms often invoke 90s nostalgia through the scenery, for example with images of empty shopping malls and outdated office spaces. Some iterations of the Backrooms include frightening creatures and jump scares. The Backrooms is an example of the internet aesthetic of liminal spaces. The Wikipedia page for this aesthetic describes it as empty or abandoned places that appear eerie, forlorn, and often surreal. Liminal spaces are commonly places of transition. Similarly, scholar Bradley Wiggins says that liminal space is essentially an in-between, neither before nor after, somewhere in the middle. Liminal spaces are associated with an uncanny or creepy feeling. Examples include elevators, doctors' waiting rooms, airports, train stations, or other places of transition. Liminal spaces might also include areas where you might experience a transformation of some sort. One way to think about liminality might be to think of the example of purgatory. Or maybe that's just my Catholic upbringing showing. Purgatory represents that in-between place, neither heaven nor hell. Much like Slenderman, the Backrooms have grown far beyond the original 4chan post. As with other examples of creepypastas, fans of the Backrooms can watch the story expand and evolve through the works of others or their own contributions. Other artists and authors have taken the idea and ran with it. The Backrooms has spread across the internet with content taking the form of stories, memes, blogs, YouTube videos, and TikToks. For example, a YouTube channel, Keen Pixels, has posted numerous videos depicting the Backrooms in a found footage style. One popular video, The Backrooms Found Footage, uploaded in early 2002, used a fake date and video effects to give the appearance that the video was filmed in the 90s. Currently, this video has over 63.5 million views. Why do the Backrooms invoke a feeling of fear, and why does that appeal to young viewers? As mentioned, they are an example of liminality, which invokes an unsettling feeling. The liminal space aesthetic, and the Backrooms especially, taps into things that we fear. As Izzy's mentions in their video essay about creepypastas, we always wonder what comes next when viewing the Backrooms content. What will be around that corner? What will be in the next room? We have similar fears in our own lives. What will come next? What will this new job be like? How will my life be different when I have children? Sometimes we are worried that what comes next will be too different. Maybe there is a monster in the next room of the Backrooms. Sometimes we are worried that things will never change. What if I wander the Backrooms forever? Just an endless expanse of nothingness. Young people especially live with this uncertainty of what comes next. From small uncertainties like, what will we do in math today? Or what will my new teacher be like? To bigger concerns like, what will happen when I go to high school? What will I do after high school? What will my life be like now that my parents are separating? We worry about what comes next in our lives, and we worry about what comes after our life. As I mentioned before, we can think of liminal spaces like purgatory, that in-between space. The Backrooms are reminiscent of our fears about the afterlife. Of course, everyone has different beliefs about what comes after life, but no one knows for sure. And by the time you find out, well, you're not around to tell anyone. Pleasant idea of the afterlife, like heaven, is a comforting idea when the alternative could be eternal damnation, or perhaps even worse, nothing. The Backrooms are reminiscent of some type of afterlife, endless and empty. It's scary because it could be what awaits us after our life. Older children and teens have fears about death, and thus of what happens when we die. It seems natural then that the Backrooms taps into that fear. Life in childhood especially is always filled with uncertainty, but we have recently had a period of increased uncertainty on a global scale. And no, I'm not talking about young Sheldon being cancelled. Although the legend of the Backrooms began in 2019, it maintained and grew in popularity during the COVID-19 pandemic. At a time when everyone was stuck inside, online content offered a distraction. Sometimes this content reflected our anxieties, such as with the Backrooms. We have all seen the pandemic photos of empty streets and buildings. These photos are unsettling because they are so unlike what we are used to seeing. They feel lonely and cold. This is the same feeling I get when looking at the Backrooms content. It's just endless emptiness, free of the warmth of life. The Backrooms is a monotonous place where you are stuck with no end in sight. For many people, this was their reality during the pandemic. The monotony of the Backrooms echoed the monotony of daily life during COVID-19 when you rarely saw other people. When I started looking into the backrooms, I was actually surprised to find out that it had begun pre-pandemic. It almost seemed prophetic that it came out in 2019, less than a year before the first COVID-19 shutdowns. Given its reflection of worries about life and death and its stark resemblance to life during the pandemic, it seems unsurprising that the backrooms attracted a loyal fan base, including young people. So, young people enjoy creepy content, but is it really literacy? Previous views of literacy have changed as access to information has changed. In the past, literacy was seen as extracting and processing information from accepted sources. But in the digital age, sources have changed, and so must our conception of literacy. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, in our current world, literacy can be thought of as a process of constructing and validating knowledge. They state, in the past, teachers could tell students to look up information in an encyclopedia and to rely on that information as accurate and true. Nowadays, Google presents them with millions of answers, and nobody tells them what is right or wrong, and true or not true. The more knowledge technology allows us to search and access, the more important it is to develop deep understanding and the capacity to navigate ambiguity, triangulate viewpoints, and make sense out of content. Thoughtful engagement with creepypastas and other forms of creepy online content aligns with modern conceptions of literacy. As with the previous discussion of the Goosebumps series, if it gets young people reading, does it really matter what it is? Of course we want young people to read high-quality literature. Of course we want them to engage with content that is appropriate for them. But we also want them to enjoy reading. We want them to be able to explore their interests, and we want them to express themselves. I don't think we can paint all creepy online content with the same brush and say that it is all brain rot, content that offers nothing to young viewers. Creepypastas and other creepy online content might encourage a reluctant reader to read. They might also be inspired to add to the lore and create their own story. The backrooms in particular offer so many possibilities for young people to build onto the lore, whether that is through oral storytelling, written work, or video creation. I just wrote a full essay about this topic to create this video. Language itself has been compared to a living organism due to its constantly changing nature. The world is always changing, and we must allow our conceptions of literacy to change with it. Should we just let young people have unlimited free reign to peruse the whole internet until there's creepy content pouring out of their ears? Well, probably not. As with anything on the internet, young people must be taught to use caution and critical thinking skills. Parents should play an active role in monitoring what their children are engaging with, and they should talk to them about it. Not only will that help keep children safe, but conversations about topics that interest them help young people gain literacy skills. As researcher Marianne Wolf explains, one of the aspects of a good reader is the ability to contemplate and reflect on what they have read. This is not just true for written works, but all forms of media. In the English language curriculum, this would be part of the learning outcome, viewing and responding. Parents and teachers can play an important role in helping young people critically analyze the content they consume. This is especially important because, as Kunath and Jackson state, multiple studies have found that young people often lack the skills necessary to effectively assess information accessed online. Is creepypasta going to be added to the English language arts curriculum anytime soon? Well, probably not. But is there something to be learned from young people's interest in it? I think there is. Also, interest in creepy online content might be an in for reluctant readers and writers. It's not like the English language arts curriculum shies away from creepy literature. I'm sure many of us read the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson or the novel The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Creepy literature and online content explores the dark parts of the human experience, and that's something worth exploring. In English classes, educators sometimes use pictures as writing prompt. What if we showed students that original picture of the backrooms and asked them to write a story based on it? Whether it's Slender Man, the backrooms, or the next creepy online trend, young people are going to engage with it. And that might not be so bad.